McConkey.
Thank you. I have the motion to hear the delegations of Amanda McDonald on behalf of the Board of Management for the Oshawa Downtown Business Improvement Area, and Cindy Malachowski, Laura Valancourt, Terry Blankley, Aaron Brown on behalf of Cedardale Realty Holdings, Inc., Shelley Bradbury, Jane Clark, and Trent University Durham, I don't have a name, to be heard.
Thank you.
Do you know?
Very much, Councillor McConkey. All in favor of hearing? Opposed? That's carried. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of Council and also Mayor Carter as well. To those in the audience, our members that are here today, and then of course our committee members and our board members who are watching via live stream. We actually have one of our board members watching from court today, so hello. So I wanted to go over the 2019 update and then of course our 2020 plan and answer any questions according to the budget that was proposed. And of course you can ask any questions to the bylaw amendments as well. So this is our Board of Management. We also have 2 ex officio members as well, so one from Trent and one from Durham. We have our outgoing Chair, Nancy Shaw. That's as of Friday. We thank her for her contribution to the BIA. She has now moved on, and we appreciate that. We serve 6 mandates as per the OBIA or the BIA handbook through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. So those mandates include beautification, revitalization and maintenance, marketing and promotion, special events, business recruitment, and of course communication. There's also an Ontario Business Improvement Area Association Board, and as of January 2020, we now represent, so the Downtown Oshawa BIA, myself as Executive Director, represents the GTA East on the Board of Directors. There was a provincial statistics on BIA's return on investments, which I encourage all of you to go and read on the OBIA website. It was a 5-year study. Oshawa is actually included in that return on investment. It really indicates all of the things that the BIA does to contribute to the economic growth in its catchment area. These are some of the return on investments of BIAs that were highlighted. So we contribute to street appeal, economic development, supporting small business, and community building. So it's really that broader community vision and strategic goals and helping council to achieve their strategic goals for what they envision in downtown. This is really a great piece for placemaking assets, and this is just a kind of a segue into the rest of our presentation and how we got to our 2020 plan. So when looking at placemaking assets, a typical average BIA in the province of Ontario has 4 schools, and of course we have 14 within our boundaries and just outside of it. And as you can see down the list, we exceed the average BIA in the province. Our employment goes up from 5,000 the downtown population increases by 5,000 people between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day, so we have a significant increase, including our residents in downtown, the business owners, and of course the tenants and the property owners. So we developed a comprehensive survey in June of 2019 to really understand and ensure that we are helping developing a thriving downtown. There were 3 main objectives in this, so determining how downtown Oshawa is doing, gathering ideas for how we can help position the downtown Oshawa area for the future, and using this information to align members' expectations with our efforts. We had 2 different surveys that we put out. One was for business owners, and this is really understanding how they think we are doing when it comes to serving our catchment, and it was based on these 6 mandates. And of course, we asked the residents of Oshawa what they thought as well, because we wanted to determine their specific priorities for how living, playing, and working in downtown could be improved. I often say that we can't be downtown Oshawa without the rest of Oshawa, so we want to make sure that we have their opinion. So these results are prior to my arrival in June, so we wanted to see where we were at. So we started at a C+ in beautification. So both surveys suggested a higher need for seasonal decor. So we jumped into action right after we saw these survey results. So C+, we're hoping that these significantly improve in our next annual assessment. But I'm going to talk about what we did immediately following receiving these results. So, but when jumping into action, we implemented 38 pole wraps. We put in 240 reusable 3-foot tall reefs. So we had previously been buying reefs and then disposing of them every year. We put in downtown member murals to stop graffiti and vandalism. Each of the wall murals that has been put up, none of them have received any vandalism since they've been in place. We've increased seasonal planters from 70 on the key corners to 220, so every single business in downtown now has a seasonal planter in front of their business if they have a planter. We've also increased the modern banners for the holiday season, so the look and appeal of downtown. But whatever our members asked us to do. So their focus is on winter lights and decorations in downtown. They want to maintain the increase in seasonal planters, and they want to continue the mural program with new artists. There's a big drive for assisting with continuing and expanding the Veteran Banner program that we're passionate about, and we want to make sure that it lives on. The downtown gateway signage is something that we're hoping to have in place by 2024 for our centennial celebrations and putting aside money each year for the purchase of those. Working with sponsors to continue our pole wraps in downtown so that those poles can no longer be wrapped in graffiti or have stuff stuck to them, or so that there's a commonality between our streets. Signage and wayfinding kiosks by 2023. This was one of the most requested. Of course, we would have to work with your amazing economic development staff to hopefully implement this. So revitalization and maintenance, we received a C+, so cyclists riding on sidewalks and parking did require improvement in both surveys, but littering and benches in the downtown area was graded highly. We do commit to a community cleanup several times a year, and that includes the Welcoming Streets Initiative. That thank you for the funding for that. Also assisted the revitalization and maintenance. We're undergoing a program for dog spots, so it's little houses that are air conditioned and they also have heat to them so that owners can put their pets in them and shop and go to restaurants. It increases the time spent, and we would be the first city in Canada to have this, so we're working for implementation for the summer of 2020. We're advocating at the Metrolinx Transit Open Houses in 2019. We're consulting the city on the streetscaping plan and urban development. I can't emphasize enough how incredible your economic development team has been in improving and also assisting and asking us for advice. We really appreciate that. We advocate and implemented the garbage tow program with the city, of course, and we assisted with writing letters of support for pedestrian-friendly right-of-ways. What our members have asked us to do is continue all of these and above, but one of the main things is increasing accessibility ramps in downtown. So working with the Stopgap Foundation, that's something we'll be launching in the coming weeks. So continuing our cleanups and installation of foot traffic monitors. Our members are asking for data on who comes to the downtown, how many people are on the street, so that they can better target their marketing and advertising strategies, but also their business hours as well. So we have that, and we're working on hopefully putting those up. Bike rentals in downtown is something we would have to work with the economic development department, but that's something that our members have asked for. And then, of course, construction RFP process and considering a BIA in all aspects. So typically, BIAs in other cities have asked cities to consider asking construction companies how they plan on supporting the small business when, say, the street is closed down in front of their business, for example. Marketing and promotion. So one of the main comments was the lack of modern appeal to the downtown or attractive branding. So since June, after this survey, we jumped in and we increased our social media presence and reach by over 100%. So we have 15 accounts across 7 platforms with a total reach of over 30,000 people. So that's advertising and marketing that goes for all of the businesses in downtown. So we rebranded the Downtown BIA. You'll see that through our launch party, which many of you were at. So we now publish press releases. So our search engine optimization increased from page 34 organically to page 12 on Google in 6 months. We also now operate on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Snapchat. So these are all different demographics that we aim to target, and we want them to come in downtown. So we've grown our Instagram. So these are some of the logistical micro things, but we're also doing large-scale advertising campaigns. And we're also launching our new webpage. So our webpage was severely broken. We couldn't actually change anything on it. It wasn't accessible. Hopefully when it comes up, it will be accessible. It will have all of that information. It's actually geared towards tourism, so there will be a tourism faucet, but also our members will have their own login page. implementation of monthly newsletters and social media takeovers. But what our members have really asked for is a combination of our Let's Eat and Let's Shop guides into one. So we're increasing from 25,000 mail out to 80,000 homes in 2020, and that includes 20,000 extra copies dropped off at en route stations and tourism centers in Ontario, and then of course recreation and facilities in downtown. We're relaunching the BIA website, we're growing our newsletter, and we're also doing the discount program, which I know Councillor Kerr has spoken to at the previous council, and we're excited about that. 25,000 students via email blast, webpage presence, it's on their applications. They can see downtown businesses that they can frequent and get a discount at. We're also doing downtown online gift card program for the launch of the holiday season in 2020, so that there's one universal downtown gift card that people can purchase, and downtown commercials for businesses. So we're looking at having between 50 to 100 commercials by the end of 2020 to go to be in tandem with our Let's Downtown, and everything will be digital. Special events, so this is one of our biggest areas. So we received a B. Residents suggested that they want more events outside of the summer season. And of course, our businesses want to see more than just events in a Memorial Park. So we're looking at doing a different event in every part of the catchment. Successes, so we did a number of events. We did Cars on King, Bikes on Bond, Butter Tart, Oshawa Wine Festival, Bright Mary, Show and Shine times 16. But after the survey results, we wanted to act immediately, and we implemented some new ones that they requested. So the Raptors Viewing Party was one of them, the Oshawa Summerfest, and of course the Oshawa General Street Festival. And then we also did a targeted approach for assisting our members in creating their own events and contributing through agency capacity in that realm. So that includes Art and Techniques 40th Anniversary, the Punk Market, and the Durham Recruiting's McLean's Party. And we do assist with other city events and non-BI events as well. We see about 70,000 people through BIA events in 2019, and that's equivalent to $18.5 million in economic impact. And I apologize if I'm speaking very fast. This is a 45-minute presentation to our members, and I'm trying to condense it down into 10. So what our members have asked us to do, so they want us to transfer the Bikes on Bond to a third party because they want us to actually focus on different events like a Halloween event. So that's something that we've been putting together. We actually have about 30 community partners, some of actually who are in the audience right now, and we're excited about that. We are moving our events across all seasons, so we have an event starting in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and of course December is reserved for the holiday shopping season for our members. We don't want to detract away from that. We want to increase our visitors to 90,000. And so you can see the number increases. So these numbers are actually from the Durham Regional Police, and then in addition to, they are our security team. So we take all of those estimates per event, and then we total them together, and then we run them through the tourism trend model to see our economic impact. So we're hoping with the increase in budget, we can bring 90,000 people into downtown with a $28.3 million economic impact. So business recruitment, this is one of the areas that we acknowledge that we need to assist more in. So promoting downtown Oshawa as the place to shop needs to be improved. Although we had 10 grand openings in 2019, retail was the #1 requested item. So we launched the Discover This Space contest. It's going well. We had over 20 participants. We assist in rent for a year. We've also gathered now, originally it was $27,000 in additional prizes to assist this business. It's well over $35,000 at this point. And of course, we have over 15 businesses who are supporting this and contributing. We're also launched the Welcoming Streets to attract new businesses, hoping that we'll assist them. And thank you for that, Carria, as well. We couldn't do it without the city and our partner. And then, of course, we've launched our associate memberships. These are businesses who believe in the downtown but are not necessarily in the catchment area. They just receive marketing, but they do pay into the BIA for assistance with beautification. We want to continue all of these and more, and we want to be traveling to different BIAs to attract new businesses. Communication and awareness of board meetings needs to improve. We agreed, so we created all committee meetings, board meetings, and other special meetings on social media. We also have our monthly newsletter, which was never something in the past. We hand-delivered to every single property owner and business in downtown this year. It took about 6 weeks, give or take, with 4 staff members and a full workload, but we were able to do it. That include AGM notices, information, but also a survey to our members. We will continue to do this annually. We also increased our email members and interaction from 4 members. They're requesting that we increase this to 10 members per week, and we will maintain all of this communication channels. We want to encourage everybody to watch for our community report card survey in the summer of 2020. Of course, you can answer the resident one, but if you're a business owner, or property owner in downtown, we encourage you to answer the business one. Thank you, and any questions?
Thank you, Amanda. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Chairman Petrie, and thank you, Amanda, for your compressed but very informative presentation. So I have 5 questions. The first one is, who decides the levy equation and how was it applied? Because that's what we're here today to talk about, really, is the levy. So who decides that equation and how is it applied?
Good question. So in an average BIA situation, it's typically the square footage of a business and then times by the total square footage of the downtown and then divided by the budget. We're a little bit different because we have that maximum and minimum, but that's predominantly done through the finance department. So they'll have to answer any additional questions on how they calculate that.
So that's the city's finance department.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you. Secondly, what is the composition of the BIA membership, just so we understand who's involved here?
Yeah, for sure. So we have 222 rateable properties in downtown. That's individual property owners. We also have 302 business owners. So that puts us over 500 members in total. We do have some overlap between businesses and owners as well. So we have, for example, Level Drugs in downtown. They're owned by the Level family, but who owns that property, but they also own the business. There's about 30 of that. So we put our membership at about 493, accounting for that overlap.
Thank you. Now, this next question is likely the tipping point question about this matter today, so I can't overestimate its importance. Mm-hmm. And for all of us here today, regardless of what their stance is on this. So have you considered, or can you consider, a staggered or feathered approach to the levy increase, a phased-in approach, if you will? And what would happen to the BIA planned initiatives with such a phased-in approach rather than the full proposed budget? So on one hand, you have, let's call it Plan A, which is full thing this year, move ahead, and the other one is Plan B, which is phase it in over 2 years, which sounds fiscally prudent, but what's the difference between the two? And as I said, what would happen to the BIA planned initiatives if we did the phased-in approach as opposed to Plan A?
Absolutely. So we definitely looked at a feathered-in approach over a couple of years. Realistically, looking at what our membership wanted, the turnout at the AGM, the number of responses to all of our emails and our communication, we can't possibly do what they want us to do without having the budget that we put forward. So it's based on their needs and what their wants are. So we're not doing anything that wasn't in consultation with our members. It's really a critical mass situation. We can continue to essentially increase our budget over a couple of years, but it's not going to be until we hit the budget that we propose that you're going to see any change. So it's not a consistent slope, but rather a critical mass, and we need that budget for it.
So I noticed in the presentation you had report cards all the way through C minus, C plus, whatever that was. So that's the method by which the membership tells the BIA what they want and by which the BIA makes out a plan to achieve what the members want. So is that a critical part of what took place with your BIA's decision to come in with a 1-year increase as opposed to phased in?
It is, and I just want to answer, sorry, I didn't answer the third portion to your question before. Without that increase in year one, we will have to significantly reduce the programming that has been presented and even the status quo of what we've given in the past. So this council and the previous BIAs have approved budgets that are closer to $300,000, although our levy is $251, and we've made up for that difference by pulling from our working capital to essentially appease and help assist the members. We raise about $200,000 in sponsorships and additional revenue just to offset that. So we're already operating at that 537 levy. That's without maintaining the status quo. As I'm sure most of you are aware, sponsorships are not guaranteed from year to year. Businesses shift their priorities. And because we received this in so many years, it's both a blessing and a curse. We're moving into a time when these businesses that have sponsored us may not be wanting to sponsor these particular initiatives going forward. So that's why we reduced it in our budget. The second part of your question, what was it again?
What would happen to the BIA planned initiatives with a phased-in approach rather than a full proposed budget?
So based on a phased-in approach, we would have to significantly reduce this. We would, at the phased-in amount of the 393 levied amount, we would just be maintaining the status quo, and then essentially we would probably be decreasing maybe a couple of our events.
So we wouldn't be addressing the report card?
No, we wouldn't be able to maintain our seasonal decor, our reefs, or any of our seasonal planters, for example.
So is this akin to having a size of a snowball at the top of the hill that you want to roll down the hill? So the bigger the snowball, the bigger the impact, and the sooner the impact. Is that kind of what we're saying here?
It is, and so the BIA for a number of years did not increase its levy. If you were to take the original value in 1974 and apply it, and our treasurer actually did, and put it through inflation, basic inflation, not including the new catchment area, our levy based on inflation should be 506. So we are well behind what we should be at. We also looked at 7 other BIAs across the province with city populations within 50,000 of us, but also looking at their downtown. How many properties did they have? What was their total assessment? And then also what was their levy and budget? We are the farthest behind in the province. So we really need to up our game as it is to stay modern, sustainable, and competitive.
My fourth question then is, future increases, what will they be, or can we guarantee that there will not be an excessive increase again?
That's a great question, and I've been talking to members about this. So we have, at this time, no intention to raise the levy in the next calendar year or the next one after. We're very happy and we're excited about this potential levy and keeping it at that. We would obviously look at raising based on cost of living, which is a small percentage fee, but we have no intentions of raising it in the future. Even if we did want to, there's an extensive and rigorous process that we go through similar to City Council. It starts off with this survey and it goes through multiple open public meetings through our 6 different committees, which members can come out to. We then formulate that budget. We send it up to Finance and Audit. They look at the feasibility and how realistic it is. They send it to the Board of Management, and the board edits it, approves it, and then it goes to our annual general meeting where the members can actually comment on it, and then if they have overwhelming concerns or whatnot, they can vote against the review of it. And then, of course, at the next board meeting, the board basically edits it regardless, just to make sure that they've considered all the comments at the annual general meeting, and then it's sent to City Council. And in between all of that, there's numerous correspondence between phone calls with myself, social media blasts, communications via email, hand-delivered, mail-outs. So we have quite a comprehensive system to ensure that we're meeting our members' needs and we're representing them fairly.
Okay, so again, if you have that larger snowball in year 1 and you create that impact, there's not a need to fund it like there would be if you had a phased-in approach. So you start that, you create a bigger impact, the impact carries over year to year, so there's less of a need for a further increase, at least not an excessive one.
Yes, and further to your point, with this proposed budget, we have the agency capacity to also apply for larger grants, which we're doing right now, so Ontario Petroleum grants, and then implement those grants and have the funding to actually put a buy into them. So you have to provide so much of that funding up front before you can actually, or when you're going through the application process, you have to promise so much of that funding. So we're able to do that. Yep. So that snowball is all of a sudden much larger. Hence
the benefit of having the larger amount at the start. So my last question then, what was the process that you undertook to reach the proposed budget, just so we understand that?
So it's everything I just said. It's moving it from the survey into the committees, which are open to the public. Anybody can attend them, and which they do. We actually have over 30 businesses represented across all 6 of our committees outside of our Board of Management. So it goes through the committees, that finance and audit process, Board of Management, AGM, open to the membership and communication, and then, of course, council at the end of the day has the right to approve our budget. So if you feel that we're out of line, as is the situation you have right now, you're determining whether or not to proceed, you can do that in the future as well.
So in the past, there's been a cap on the BIA budget, and that put us in the unfortunate position, us being the BIA, of being the next to only municipality in the province with such a cap. And by doing so, that's kept the BIA's funding back from the curve that every other municipality has had in the last how many years?
Well, 50 years of BIAs this year, so that's exciting. First one was in Toronto, Canadian-made product. But yes, you are correct. It has put us behind the 8 ball, and we are crawling our way forward, to say the least. And when you're looking at BIAs and you're looking at the other ones in the province that have thrived, their BIAs are a huge part of that. We are an association made up of the businesses in downtown. We're not some organization doing this to the businesses. We're doing it with them. And we encourage any of those businesses to be part of that progress with us.
Okay, I think that clearly answers all of my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Any further? Councillor McConkey?
Thank you. Through you, Chairman Pietri, to the delegation, Ms. McDonald. You've read the report that we have to consider?
I have, yes.
And did you have any concerns about any aspect of the report? We've got some options before us. Is it all clear that it's been put here together for us? Because I'm finding there's a lot of detail here that I did have a few questions. There's one that, and I'm trying to find the line that says there's 14, was it owners or businesses? That's where I'm getting confused, that are charged the maximum. I think that was looking for it here.
So
Right
there are 14 rateable properties, through you, Chair, sorry. There are 14 properties in downtown that pay the maximum right now. I believe 7 of those properties are city-owned.
Okay. Thank you. I did have it. There was something there that said...
Third paragraph.
Thank you. And you said 7 of those are city-owned. But then the next sentence, a total of 21 members in 2020 are anticipated to pay the maximum. So the 7 that will be coming on stream, are they because the boundaries were expanded?
No, so the 14 properties, that's given our current budget of 251. If that increases to what we've proposed, that threshold will increase from 14 properties to 21 properties in downtown that will pay over that 5,500.
Okay. And
So, sorry, I would like to just note that 80% of our businesses, if you actually look at the chart that was provided in the package, 80% of those actually pay under $1,500 and 60% pay under $1,000. If you look at the other BIAs in comparison, we're still, those businesses that are paying $1,500 are still below the average per business rate for a similar size BIA.
okay, thank you. My problem, I read this online, and now I'm looking at the yellow pages, which is hard to read black on yellow. But anyhow, there was another part in here that said the number of members. You've got 222 rateable properties. And a total of 73 objections would be required. Now, the objections didn't come in near that number.
It's interesting to note, too, sorry, through you, Chair, that the objections of 73 is based on the minimum threshold of 222. That's property owners that did not declare a tenant in their building. I don't believe any property owner declared a tenant in their building, but if they were, that threshold would increase to 493, and all of a sudden those percentages would drop even lower. Regardless, we didn't meet the threshold in any circumstance, but...
Yes, I see that. The question was, there was a line in here, and I don't see it quickly, and I wish I'd read it online, not online. That it says the number of landlords that actually have their tenants pay the levy versus with the lease. Do you have any idea about the leases? Have they declared when you do a survey, okay, well, I'm a landlord and I have to pay it, and a tenant says, well, I'm a tenant and I have to pay that because it's in my lease. Have you got any breakdown that way?
We do not, but I would assume, and based on best assumption, and best practices, that the landlords probably incorporate, or most, or if not all of them, incorporate the BIA levy into their rent. Otherwise, they would be paying that themselves. I do know of one or two in the downtown that actually do not include it into their gross lease, and they are in favor of this increase, so they do bear the brunt of that.
Okay, that's encouraging. So if someone's in default, if they're not paying, I mean, we have, unfortunately, people get into situations where their property taxes go into arrears. What happens if the BIA levy goes into arrears? Do you have a...
That would be a question for your finance department.
Okay, it's the city that collects it and then distributes back to you. Okay, well, thank you. Those were my questions. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor McConkey. Any further questions? Thank you very much, Amanda. And I just have to ask, I recognize this fine gentleman at the front, but I need to make sure that you speak into the microphone and provide your name as well as part of the delegation, because our clerks would like to make sure that's recorded.
Well, I can't talk as fast as Amanda, but
We're separate presentations, so I'll excuse
Thank you.
myself. Thank you.
Welcome.
have a good trip.
Thank you.
See you.
Is your name Jeff Warford?
My name's Terry Blankley.
Terry Blankley. So we have a delegation request from Jeff Warford. Afterwards, after everything's done, we're going to ask for 2/3 just to waive the rules, but we'll have Mr. Terry Blankley move forward with his presentation at this moment. Thank
My
you, sir.
only reason to be here is to encourage you to help the BIA. We, three of us have formed a music group, the Oshawa Music Group. This is all within the past month. And we've incorporated, and we intend to bring a huge arts festival here. Music, art, even a dog show. Not just to downtown, but Oshawa, but mostly in downtown. Mike, one of our partners, owns True North Records, which is the oldest and probably the largest indie record label in the world. So we have access to all kinds of artists, music artists, and we have access to all kinds of artists, and that would include you, Derek. We came to Amanda first at the Wendell's Art Gallery, and had a meeting with her, and they're all gung-ho on us, but they haven't got a large budget. And I intend to apply for grants, both federal and provincial, if I can get through the paperwork. And that's our sole intent. We're not making any money on this. Mike's falling off his wallet anyway. But there's only three of us in the corporation. And it's called the Oshawa Music Group, OMG. And I'm hoping you'll support Amanda and the BIA and their budget, which would help us. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Chairman Petrie. Thank you, Terry, for your efforts to make Oshawa even better.
Well, we hope so. We want to improve the overall profile. You know, I get around a lot, and Oshawa seems to have some kind of down profile. It's a great city. You know, I've lived here now for 27 years, but I've also lived all over the world. And this is as fine a city as there is anywhere else. I don't know why it gets this low profile all the time. It doesn't matter where I go in Ontario. The rest of Canada, it's a fine city as far as they're concerned. But I live here. And
Well, thank you for your efforts. And I guess my question is to come back to a BIA focus, and that is that what I referred to earlier as the Plan A would be a certain level of funding and a certain level of staffing. And with the Plan B approach, there wouldn't be that level of staffing or staff support for events, such as
Oh,
yours.
no, we'll gather the people we need, but we need money. You need security, you need insurance. We need all that, so I've got to get our hands on the money, and staffing wouldn't be a problem. And everybody would be volunteer. We're all volunteers.
But there's behind-the-scenes administrative support, and that's
Well,
what
we
the
would have to
BIA
pay
can
them,
offer.
but that's all needs
Okay.
to be worked out yet, but.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, just one question. Are you a paying member of the BIA?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
Derek?
Thank you. Terry, through you, Chairman Pietri, to Mr. Blankley. Terry, I know you're a musician, and I heard your playing, and I think your words here today are inspiring. So you're planning on doing a major event. You said, have you got a time frame on it?
We were hoping for 2 to 3 days, including, is that what you mean, or when it?
When would your
Well,
event
we're
have?
hoping
yeah.
for this year, September, but it's not going to happen.
Okay.
It would be the following year, September, early September, when the weather's still fairly good.
Okay. And you mentioned.
Where it would be held would be on, we'd have to have a street.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like the Memorial Park as well, I think. Mike's gung-ho on that.
And Mike's your partner,
Yeah, Mike Pilon.
Mike Pilon, and he's the one you said was with a major label?
He owns True North Records, him and
Okay.
a partner. His partner holds an event in Waterdown, which is part of Hamilton, right? And they brought in this year close to 40,000 people. And he doesn't want to do it anymore, so we're kind of hoping to get the grant money he has. He's got about $100,000, and it's transferable, except the BIA and Waterdown's after it as well. So,
Okay, we'll have to make some arrangements. Sounds very good, very promising. Thank you for coming today.
okay, thank you. Am I
Any
done?
further? No. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to go back into the order that we're in before and ask Ms. Cindy Malachowski to come forward and make her delegation. Good afternoon, Cindy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. I think Amanda did a fabulous job of presenting our case. I come here to speak to you today as a property owner, landlord, and small business owner in downtown. Oh, sorry.
The mic a little closer, Cindy, so we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. The Lord Simcoe Place building has been in my family for almost 50 years now. And I remember going there as a little girl and growing up, visiting back and forth. And I had the opportunity a few years ago to take on the building. And I noticed one big thing. Nothing in downtown had seemed to change in all those years. It still kind of had the same energy, the same vibe. And it was a little bit disappointing considering the progress in other cities and living away from home, seeing how other cities operated their downtowns. So one of the first things I did was invest in the building. And a lot of people thought it might not have been the best idea, but it significantly increased the tenancy. We have a great building now. I'm very proud of how far we've come. And in order to walk the talk, I also joined the BIA as a board member because I wanted to see more change downtown. So having the privilege of being on the board, I've experienced various opinions and various attempts at making change downtown, some successful, some not. It's very exciting right now to see our current board. Everybody is very committed and very passionate and very strategic. There's a very strong plan to move forward. The changes that we've seen so far have been amazing and fills everybody with optimism for future to roll forward. When I think of other downtowns such as Kingston and Oakville, they are just flourishing, and I can't help but ask why we're not. While those BIAs have levies a little bit higher, their budget is in the 7-figure area, which I don't propose we go to. But I think bringing the Oshawa BIA up to the minimum standard across the province is a very smart move and very, very, very long overdue. We've been in this holding pattern for far too long. And there is so much change coming down the pipes with new developments. We're also struggling with our vulnerable population downtown. And in order to address some of these issues, we need resources. This levy increase, I consider, it's going to hit me hard as well. I don't think anybody likes to pay more taxes. But at the end of the day, it's an investment. It's an investment in our future, and it's long overdue. And I think even delaying it by a year would have a significant impact, considering all the change that's happening now. We need to capitalize on it. We have a strong board. We have a strong mandate. There's a lot of passion and momentum, and I think even delaying this process a year would have significant impacts down the line. So I'm here basically as a property owner, landlord, and small business person in support of this increase. As I said, I think it's long overdue, and I think that the changes that will come from this will be exponential, as Councillor Kerr had mentioned. Delaying it a year is not stopping it. It's not preventing it from happening. If anything, it's going to extend the pain and the complaints. It needs to be done, and it needed to be done a long time ago. So I'm in full support of moving forward with it as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Melchowski. I have questions from committee. Any comments from committee? Thank you very much for presenting today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Laura Valancourt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do I need to hit anything or
No,
I'm
you're good.
on?
I think the microphone's
Okay.
on.
Thank you. I'm in favor of the increase in the BIA levy. My husband's family has owned property in downtown Oshawa for over 50 years. My husband and I made a plan at the kitchen table about 15 years ago to go all in. And we moved to downtown Oshawa 10 years ago. We had a lot of people say we were crazy, leaving 20 acres north of Oshawa and moving to downtown, but that's where we wanted to be. And it's been wonderful. It's not without its challenges, but neither is 20 acres of forest. So downtown Oshawa has improved since we moved into above the store. And a lot of it has to do with the students who are on the street now, along with the residential density increase. With that residential density is going to come more businesses. Once the market is in place, the businesses will come because they will see that the risk factor is lower. With the BIA that doesn't have its hands tied anymore and has the budget to serve the businesses properly, then that's going to change things as well. And the higher density is the one thing that's going to catapult the revitalization that we've talked about for at least 20 years. Since the theaters moved from downtown Oshawa to the Oshawa Center, and now they're gone somewhere else, as we all know, but that's when the big change occurred for downtown Oshawa, is when the theaters left. And that revitalization piece has been talked about pretty much since then. So that higher density residential is what's going to be our answer to the absence of the theaters. And so I think that's about it. For us, we're all in, and we're excited about this new phase for the BIA. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilor McConkey.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Maren Pietri, sorry. Ms. Valancourt, are you on the board of the BIA?
I have been.
Oh, you have been?
Yes, it was a rough
Okay.
go.
But not now. Okay, because we heard, I think the previous speaker was on the board, and then, of course, the executive director, but you're someone who's not, and you're in support.
I was about 15 years ago.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for coming forward today.
Councilor Kerr.
And thank you, Chairman Pietri, and through you. You mentioned about what I affectionately call feet on the street. And are you aware of just how many higher density residential projects are coming down the pipe and are being built at present?
Yes, I am, and I was lucky enough to have some time with someone in planning who helped me go through the targets and where we are in our target at this point, and I think we're almost on track, if I remember the numbers correctly. I think we're approaching 30% of the density target for downtown Oshawa. But yes, I'm always very happy to see that there's some residential towers being installed, especially those with underground parking.
Yeah. So would you agree, therefore, that as a permanent residential density goes up, so goes up the demand for services, entertainment, clothing sector, retail sector, all of those things that go with almost having a complete sustainable village?
Yes, that's exactly what is going to save the business sector within the BIA and the shoulder area of the BIA is that residential density. People right there, living there, caring about their community and walking their community, really living, not passing through.
Correct.
Living in their community.
So the more effective the BIA is in not only developing but communicating the quality of life that can take place downtown, the more effective it will be for drawing further residents who would choose to live here because of the style of life that they could have downtown.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Any further? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we have we're going to ask if we can get a motion just to hear Mr. Jeff Warford. Motion to waive the rules.
Motion to hear Jeff Warford, yeah.
Councillor Chapman, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Pertain to the Trent University. Sorry, for another issue that we're going to be dealing with. I think it was Haley Wright that's going to be speaking on behalf of Trent University. There are two other delegations. If I could just get a motion to have those delegations heard in camera. And that's what I'm being asked for by the clerks.
Sure, if we could have the delegations of Aaron Brown,
Yep.
Haley Wright,
Yep.
and Shelley? Shelley Bradbury, sorry, to be heard during the closed session of this meeting.
Perfect. All in
Thank you.
favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now we'll move directly to Jane Clark. If Jane is here, would you like to come forward? We'd appreciate hearing from you. If not, we'll just defer that to the end of the meeting if she shows up in the form of